Coming up on this episode, I talk about procrastination, share some good news about studies around mental health, and go on a rant about delivery services. So let's get into it. What's going on, beautiful people? This is the Perspective Chasing Podcast, and I'm your host, John. On this episode, I want to talk about procrastination. I'm surprised I haven't yet, to be honest. But first, let's get into the good news for this week. So this is a story from positive.news, and I mean, it's quite relatable to the idea of the podcast, so I'm quite excited to share this one. This too shall pass. World's first study proves the power of mental health recovery stories. New research shows that personal accounts of how people have overcome mental health struggles are effective at helping others in similar experiences and cost effective too. So this is from the 29th of January this year. So lived experiences chronicling everything from pain management to drug addiction abound online, but do they really aid in recovery? New research led by experts at the University at Nottingham and published this week in World Psychiatry proves definitively that, in mental health settings at least, they do. The team painstakingly curated a digital library of hundreds of audio, video, written words and images, files recounting stories of mental health recovery told through told through prose, poetry, and even odd graphic novels. Study participants, all with non-psychotic mental health problems, like low mood, stress, and anxiety, were given access to as much or as little as they liked over the course of a year. The results revealed an uplift in their quality of life. Now, I'll leave it there because I don't want to go into the whole thing, but I'll link the full story in the description below for you to check out. And it is, I don't know, to me, I guess it's just common sense. If you talk about the problems and you share experiences, like I've said from the beginning of starting this podcast, the idea of this podcast is to share experiences, both good and bad, all throughout life to help others learn. Because even if you can't apply it to your life directly, there's things from other people going through their life and how they deal with situations that you can take from that and learn from it. So to me, it's not surprising that this study has shown a positive impact on looking at other people's accounts of things. But it's good to see that the study backs up my idea in that sense. Because again, this was all started on an idea. So to find something that kind of says like, look, there is some truth in my idea that everybody talking about their experiences and everything else is going to help everybody else live a better life. So that one stood out for me this week. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get into the main topic of this episode, which is procrastination. And like I say, I'm surprised I haven't done an episode on this yet, because it's something I struggle with on a constant basis. I think we all do. And I was listening to another podcast the other day, and there's talking about procrastination and a study that they done. And it was basically found out that a little bit of procrastination is good for you, and it actually means that you're more productive, which makes sense again. Like, you can't be productive 100% of the time. Sometimes you need that downtime to be able to switch off and distract yourself in order to just process. So it makes sense that procrastination is useful to an extent. But then they found on the flip side of it, too much or too little procrastination affects you negatively. So again, it's about just enough procrastination to allow the cogs to turn in the background and then you to get back onto it. And again, I think it's that's true all throughout life. It's about that balance, that a little bit is good, too much isn't great. And finding that kind of ebb and flow across your life. Like, some people are going to be able to procrastinate more than others without consequences. Other people, you take your foot off the gas for a day or an afternoon and everything's falling down around you. But that doesn't mean that procrastination's bad. Again, you can make anything in life bad if you change the quantities of it. So understand where your lines are. Understand how much you can procrastinate. I was procrastinating before doing this. I was doing little chores around the house, this, that, and everything else, just because my mind wasn't there. And there's that thing of like understanding that it will, if you start small, it will get in line eventually, or you can just push through. Like, there's episodes of this pod where I've been procrastinating or I've been really busy and I've just had to push through and just get the work done, just tick the box and get it done. But that's not always going to fly. And that's not always what I want to do. Like, sometimes, and funnily enough, it normally comes when I'm the furthest away from the studio as I can be. I'll get hit with this, oh yeah, I really want to do a pod on this, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But then I can't because I'm nowhere near the studio. So it's just about kind of understanding that ebb and flow of like, cool, procrastinate when you can, but understand too much of it is just gonna put you down. And everybody's amount of procrastination is going to vary. There's going to be some people that can procrastinate for ages and it not really affect the day-to-day of their life. Other people, they're not going to be so lucky. You take your foot off the gas. I mean, especially if you've got kids. Like, there's definitely, speaking from experience here, only so much you can procrastinate when you've got kids. You've got to care for them at the end of the day. So there's, no matter how low you feel on energy or whatever else, there'll be things in your life that you have to tend to. For most of us, it's going to be kids, careers, whatever else. But don't forget about you. And I think this is kind of the unseen side of procrastination. When you really look at what procrastination is, it's you taking time for you. Like, it's you switching off and delving into a good show, or sitting down reading a good book, or seeing some friends, socializing for a little bit. Whatever it is, that procrastination, it's normally you scratching an itch that makes you you. My procrastination takes many forms. I think I've mentioned it before on here. I can end up doing freaking gaming or watching a series or occasionally watching movies or whatever else. But these days, I'm far more aware of that procrastination. But I'm not perfect. So I spent a day or so just watching a series on telly that I got it on DVD that I ain't watched in absolutely ages. So I had about 4 or 5 seasons to catch up on. And I slowly started chipping through it after Christmas and that. And any time that I sat there for a whole day and watched telly, I felt so bad because I got nothing done. I literally just monged there in front of the screen, which achieves nothing. And inevitably I want to achieve something. Now, don't get me wrong, I was entertained for a little bit. And I did need some downtime. And it was nice to scratch that itch of catching up on a show that I've been disconnected from for years. But if I would have stayed there, oh, would I have felt bad. Everything would have taken a negative turn. It was nice to dip a toe in, don't get me wrong, procrastinate for a little bit. Like, me procrastinating for a day is probably like the extremes of where I can go. I can't procrastinate for much more than that because, like I say, life intervenes. But it's still understanding why you need that procrastination, why it's come up. Sometimes you need some rest, and that's why you want to procrastinate. Sometimes you're overwhelmed, so you just need to take a beat and gather your thoughts or whatever else. Sometimes whatever it is, there'll be many reasons or triggers for you to procrastinate. But taking the time to sit in it and understand why you're procrastinating and letting yourself procrastinate, at least for a little bit. Because that's when you're gonna take your foot off the gas and the machine's gonna ease off a little bit, and you'll find that when you go again, you've got an extra bit of vigor. Like that, not just like procrastination, but even with like studying or whatever, there's studies done on studying. And I'm really bad at remembering the exact studies, so I really do apologize for not quoting all of these properly. But if anybody knows, comment the studies and I'll more than happily give credit. But they done a study on studies and it showed that studying for about 30 minutes and then taking a short break and then studying for 30 minutes again was far more effective than studying continuously. And like anything, it makes sense. If you run a machine round the clock with no rest, eventually that machine is going to wear out. You might get a bit more production done in the short term, but in the long term, the wear and tear and the diminishment on that machine or that person, whatever you want to talk about, is going to be substantially more when it hasn't had a rest. So give yourself that rest. Understand you need a little bit of procrastination. Not too much. Like I say, everybody's got their different limits. Find out where your limit is. Understand yourself. That's the whole journey. Like if we can't all understand ourselves, we're all just haplessly bumping into each other. Have that self-awareness. The more self-awareness we can all have, the more we can aim to lead better lives. And we can walk towards the lives we all want to lead. Not just the idea of the happiness, but the actual happiness for all of us. Don't we all want that? But, yeah, see, I've gone off topic. Procrastination. It's one of those things where you really do just have to delve into it and you have to be aware of it. Again, it's going to be a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's going to come in many different forms. But just be aware of your behaviour. The more self-aware you are, the more you'll catch yourself slipping. The more you'll see the little things and the times where you want to switch off and this and everything else. And as soon as you start to see it, you start to ask yourself why. Or at least I do. And then you delve into like why you're procrastinating. Have you not got the energy? Is your brain not working? This, that, whatever else. And once you start pulling that string, it helps to untangle the web of the procrastination itself. And eventually you pull that string long enough and that wall comes down. So that's probably the biggest thing, is just start small and realize that you're in that cycle. If you can be aware that you're procrastinating and you can start to consciously take little steps out of it. Like I say, before doing this recording, I was just doing chores around the house. Folding clothes, doing washing, this, that, whatever else. Just any little thing to get the ball rolling, because I knew my mind wasn't there yet. But if I just started rolling the ball and doing little things around the house, little chores and just moving around a little bit, that slowly my mind would kick in. And that little rest from going like, oh, think. Just switch your mind on. Just taking the foot off the gas and just going, cool, switch off for a minute. Do some menial tasks and let your mind kick in when it wants to kick in. Next thing you know, 10, 20 minutes later, I'm sitting down doing the pod. I know what I want to talk about. Rah. The rest is history. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say on procrastination for today. My rant. Oh, dun. The rant for this week is going to be deliveries. Like, not delivery people, but delivery services. Oh. Like, if I've paid for delivery and that thing needs returning, I really don't want to be paying again. Like, in this day and age, everything gets delivered. I said this an episode ago. I was going on a rant about bots and everything's just like the click of your fingers and everything's automated and rah. But I was going to say the tax, but it's not even a tax. It's just the charge, like, especially if like I'm returning something I would happily return it to the store, but they don't sell it in the store. They only sell it online. So then I'm forced to buy it online. So then when I buy it online, I can't get my daughter to try it on or whatever else. So when I order it to the house and it doesn't fit, I then have to return it. I've already paid you for delivery because I have no option to buy this in store. So I've had to go down this road. You forced me down this road. So I've paid your blinking delivery money. It's got delivered. It doesn't fit. Now I have to send it back. Now I have to pay for delivery again to send it back to you. Are you kidding me? Like that. If it was in the store, I'd have happily come into store, tried it on, known it didn't fit, not brought it at all. Or found one that did fit and brought that and been a happy customer. But no, you force people to buy things online because you don't want to have all of these store locations because it's more cost effective to run a warehouse than it is to run on store locations. But then you want to charge the consumers for this over and over and over and over again. Like, I've already paid you for delivery. There has been a mistake. You should be more than willing to correct that. I get that there's people that will take advantage of these systems and everything else. But seriously? Like, I've ended up paying like 15, 20 quid in delivery fees for something that I ain't even going to want at the end of the day. So now that money's just gone up in smoke in the ether or whatever else. When I didn't even want to online shop in the first place, I did go to freaking 7 or 8 different shops and couldn't find things in store because the options are so narrow. So then I was forced to go online. I go online and then I'm forced to deal with these delivery problems. Like, it is absolutely infuriating. And I'm not somebody that likes shopping at the best of times anyway because of how everything is. But when I'm forced to deal with it, ooh, does it rage me. I just want to squish somebody's head. But that's the rant for today anyway. Bloody delivery services. The seed for this episode is going to be... Try and let go of a few things. We all hold on to so much, like I did with that rant that's been bugging me for a couple of days, and just letting it out and decompressing on that topic. Don't get me wrong, I'll probably vent to some more people about it and everything else, but just letting out that steam, giving yourself that, not procrastination, but that decompression and that sigh of relief, just like I got that frustration out. Whether it be going to a middle of the field and screaming your lungs out and just getting it off your chest, whatever it is, just give yourself that release. And then compose yourself and get back to it. Because we all need that moment. And you never know when it's going to come. So take control, give it to yourself, and then compose, get things together, and then get back on your grind. Whatever it is, get back on it. Because it's only you that's going to do it. All the best, and I'll catch you on the next one.